Okay,
Thank you.
so I'm going to present the paper, Understanding a Student's Engagement with Personalized Feedback Messages. My name is Hamideh Iraj. I'm a PhD student at the School of ITMS USA. And I'm here to present on behalf of a great research team, including Dr. Anthea Fudge, Dr. Margaret Faulkner, and my supervisors, Professor Abelardo Pardo and Dr. Vitomir Kovanovic. The problem that I'm addressing in this paper is the feedback gap. And this is a very common problem among educators. They often complain that they put a lot of time and energy to give feedback to students, but they really don't know which kind of students do benefit from feedback and which of them don't. And this problem arises from lack of any mechanism to capture a student's responses to feedback. So I was thinking, now that we can work in a digital environment, we can find a mechanism for that. We can find a mechanism for capturing feedback actionability to see which students can respond to feedback. So in order to do so, I looked at other disciplines to see how can I borrow some ideas. And it turned out that digital marketing has done a great deal of work in this area. So I took a look at that. This is a typical example of a commercial email that you might have received. In this email, as you can see, there's a piece of text and there's a call to action at the end. And what this call to action does is that it's a trackable link first. So the company knows that whether you're clicking or not. And second is asking you to do a certain task. So in this case, it's join Audible now. So I implemented this idea in educational emails to see how we can track a student's behavior and what we can get out of that. So in this research, I had 3 research questions. The first one is how does student responses to call to actions, CTAs for short, affect their academic success? The second one, what student populations as captured by demographic and engagement measures are responding to different CTAs? And the third one is how do students perceive CTAs in feedback messages? So I've chosen the course Introduction to Biosciences. As the name suggests, it's an introductory science course and blended in nature. The good point about this course was that it had a diverse student demographics that allowed us to discover some previously unknown patterns. And we had a relatively good number of students to start with. So what we did is that we put a call to action at the end of the messages. And we've rewritten all the messages based on a very single idea. And we directed the students to do a very certain learning activity. For crafting the emails, I used OnTask, which is a Moodle add-on that allowed us to craft personalized email messages based on certain engagement measures. For example, if a student has watched a video, send her this piece of text. If she didn't, the other piece of text. So it was the basic tool that I used for crafting my messages. And the feedback messages were structured in this way. So we sent 2 sets of 5 messages for each quiz. The first message was see the quiz requirements, then see the resources, take the practice quiz, review the practice quiz, and take the quiz. And in each email, we had a CTA to direct the students to the next step. The very basic idea behind that is to take a student's hand and helping them in taking baby steps and gradually engaging them with the feedback messages. So instead of sending a big textual email with all the instructions and details, we split them into smaller chunks and we ask them to do only one thing at each step. What I'm trying to do is to collect the data through this mechanism and later on doing some predictive analytics on each CTA. And by doing so, I can discover previously unknown patterns in student responses and hopefully narrowing the feedback gap. To answer my first research question, we had 2 quizzes, as I mentioned, and a couple of emails for each quiz. And the rows are students. So I had such a binary 0-1 matrix, and I wanted to see if engaging with these feedback messages is correlated with passing the course. It turned out that engaging with the first email in each quiz was positively correlated with passing the course, and it was really interesting. For my second research question, I wanted to explore and dive deeper into those patterns. So I wanted to see what can predict a student's engagement with feedback messages. So what I had as input was demographic variables here. And for each email, I had previous engagement with the previous email. So for the CTA 1, I had only demographics. For CTA 2, I had demographics from previous engagement in CTA 1, and so on and so forth. So I could do some predictive analytics in a stepwise manner. And as we go on and on, I will have more data and more ways of exploring to see what the patterns are. The results turned out to be very interesting in most of the models. So what I did basically is that I built 9 logistic regression models to do the prediction. It turned out that most of the time, previous engagement was the biggest predictor. So students who engaged earlier in the process were more likely to engage later in upcoming emails. And also female students in some of the models were more likely to engage with the feedback messages. I also had some focus groups to see how students perceive those feedback messages containing CTAs. First, they found the course challenging. It's not surprising. It's an introductory science course. Second, they really appreciated the role of email messages as reminders. And third, they really liked those links and they were really engaged with that because they knew exactly what the instructor meant. So my key findings from this study was that first, early engagement with the feedback messages was associated with higher chances of passing. Second, a certain population of students, in this case female students, were more likely to engage. And third, students found CTAs easy and engaging. So the contributions. It was the first study to empirically examine the students' engagement with technology-mediated feedback in online settings. It allows us to ask why questions based on the patterns found. And consequently, designing some interventions for supporting the students and helping them engage more and learn more. And finally, we can use the current statistics as a baseline for experimentation and continuous improvement. And let me show you what I mean by that. Here is a table that shows the statistics for different emails. As you can see, for example, for the first email, female students engage with the messages 57% of the time, and male students were engaging in 41% of the time. So these numbers don't have any inherent value. The value comes from the process improvement mindset and the idea that how we can improve these numbers. So when we model a system quantitatively, we can easily experiment and change the process to see what the results turn out to be and how the results change. If you're interested to follow my works, feel free to send me an email or follow me on Twitter and ResearchGate. And also feel free to see the paper or the poster for this piece of work.